Alright, hey, it's Mega here, and so this is the after action review for the AMA Supermoto Round 1 and the two-wheel track day event at Horse Thief Mile on April 8th, 2023. This is for the race day, alright? For the track day, check that AAR out. I did that'll be a separate video, alright? But anyway, today didn't go as planned, and I'm gonna kind of go through it, alright? So here's what was supposed. So an AAR is what was supposed to happen, what really happened, and what could we have done to do better, okay? Type of thing, all right? And there's a lot of things we could have done to do better. That's what I want to say. But anyway, I had a great day doing the track day. Check that video out. And then the next day is when everything kind of just chaos. That's what I say. Okay. So there's two organizers for this event, all right? There's two organizations, AMA Supermoto or DRT Racing, and then two-wheel track day, all right? I've never done any track events with two-wheel track day. They're doing like mini racing and track days, okay? So they do big bikes and little bike stuff, but they do, for the races, they do mini bikes type of thing, all right? And yeah, it's like totally different. It's totally different than how we do it in Supermoto USA, and it's kind of different how they do it in AMA Supermoto. Okay, so I've done an AMA Supermoto race, State Line Supermoto right here. Okay, they're not doing it this year. Last year was the last year they did the State Line Supermoto, but this year their California event, the one that's closest to me, was at Horse Thief Mile in Rosamond or Big Willow Springs Raceway. So I want to say. At Willow Springs Raceway. Okay, I did a race. There's a Supermoto USA event at Streets of Willow like 2 years ago. All right, so that's how I know. That's the only time I've ever been there. All right, and Streets of Willow is the track that's like down the hill from Horse Thief Mile. Okay, and if you guys don't know about Horse Thief Mile, it's a track that has a lot of elevation, okay? So you go up, then you go down, down. It's like a roller coaster ride, okay? And it's technical. It's just a bunch of hairpin turns, all right? There's like there's a lot. Let me think. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's like 5 consecutive hairpin turns, all right? 5 turns, all right? They're not super duper steep, though. They're kind of sweeping. Some of them are banked. Banked the right way, and some of them are banked the other way, all right? They're off camber, all right? So your bike won't want to turn. You're gonna have to force it to turn, type of thing, or lean. I mean, anyway, so yeah, that's some info on the track, all right? And I rode it the day before, so I was pretty familiar with it. I even got to ride the dirt section, and they did have a class to race for dirt, and that was AMA Pro Lights, all right? And you would be racing with bikes up to 250cc, so yeah, I don't know how well we do against that. So, we're racing against 250s with the KLX170, right? Yeah, no, not gonna do too well automatically. So the thing was, I was struggling to find a class to race in. All right, so I signed up for Super Mini, and they didn't have a Super Mini. They didn't have a Super Mini class. When I raced at State Line Supermoto, they did. There was a bunch of minis that wanted to race in the dirt with me. Okay, but not in this one. So, but I signed up for the Super Mini race, thinking, yeah, there's going to be a Super Mini class, and there wasn't. All right, so pretty much all the minis were racing with two-wheel track day. So they moved me over to a two-wheel track day, and so they're trying to find me a thing to race with, because I had registered with AMA Supermoto and not two-wheel track day, and then they're like kind of working together, and then so what happened is they put me in 150 SS, all right? That's 150 up to 150 super stock or something. I guess you can do like some really light modifications onto the bike, all right? But we will be racing 150Rs, all right? That's totally not fair. KLX can maybe keep up with a 150R, but there's no way you're going to pass a 150R, all right? But you'll find that out when I talk about the racing, all right? So yeah, So they put me in the 150 SS class. They should have just put me in 65 GP, but I'll tell you what happened later. Anyway, I wound up racing that class anyways, so you'll find that out later. Okay, yeah, so everything was just kind of a clusterfuck, is what I say, alright? It was pretty bad. The organization was pretty horrible at this event, alright, is what I'm going to say. And that's because there's like 2 different people trying to run the event, working together, type of thing. So, yeah, I was going to race in 150 SS. I'll put the, man, I don't even know what the classifications for that are. I'll put a subtitle right here, alright, what the class specs are for that, okay? Apparently, this one can race in it, alright? But yeah, I know 65 GP we can race, alright? So that's like air-cooled 4 strokes, and then those little 2 strokes, alright? Like a KLX170 or something, alright? And I know those are fast. So yeah, and so the races are different too, alright? The way two-wheel track day does it is there's a practice. You get like a 10-minute practice in the morning, and then yeah, which is not enough time, man. Like unless you knew the track, then it would benefit you a lot to have done the track day before it. I just want to say, okay. So I'm glad that I did the track day. I got a lot of good practice in. But yeah, so you get one like 10-minute practice, and then you get a qualifying. All right, so we don't do qualifying in Supermoto. All right, and then you get a race 1 and a race 2. So yeah, you get like 4. So if you think about it, it's kind of worth your money. All right. Also, another thing is two-wheel track days events. Our race classes are $130. It's pretty expensive, guys, just to go race one class. But like I said, you can kind of get your money's worth if you race at least one class. I think it's $45 for the second class, so you save money on the second class. But yeah, $130 is a lot of money. That's why I signed up for the Super Mini race. It was only $75. All right. The only race that Two Wheel Track Day did that was $75 was the Fury race. All right. That's like kind of like a endurance type of race where you get one race and it's like, it was supposed to be 16 laps, but they cut it down to 12. So yeah, because the track was so big, they cut it down to 12. And then yeah, so that leads me to tell you that, like, yeah, man, like all the stuff that they told me the day before was bogus. Okay. They were telling, I asked them, well, so what's the races like? So is it? And they're like, oh, the races are 10 laps. Okay. And then I found out the next day when I signed up, oh, we shortened it to 8 laps because the track is so big. I was like, oh, well, okay. So maybe the Light Bee could have made the 8 laps is what I'm gonna say. So maybe we could have raced the Light Bee, all right. But anyway, yeah. You get a 10-minute practice. You get a qualifying, all right. I'm not really sure how long the qualifying. I think the qualifying was probably like 10 minutes also. So think of it as like another practice, all right. Yeah, I think in AMA Supermoto they use because we use transponders. I had to rent a transponder, you know, the little rectangular thing. I stuffed it in my boot type of thing. I always stuff it in my boot, and I know it works if I stuff it in my boot. It's just uncomfortable to walk around with it during the day. AMA Supermoto, they do the qualifying with the practice, I think, or a lot of events they do qualifying with the practice, because if you have a transponder, they can get your lap times, and then so they grid you based on your lap time, all right? So that basically it's a qualifying, all right? So it's like practice number 2 is like a qualifying, all right? And then you have one race and you have 2 races, all right? So and each race is worth points. So it's like a double whammy type of thing, double points race or double points event, all right? So you get points for one race and you get points for race number 2, all right? It's not like in Supermoto USA where you have a heat race, which is your kind of your qualifying for the main race, all right? Usually the heat race is 6 laps and the main race is 8 laps, all right? And that's the way a lot of organizations do it, all right, is what I'll say, especially for Supermoto, all right? For pros, I think they do like 10 laps or something, so they make them work for that money, type of thing, all right? But yeah, we usually run 6 and 8, all right? So for this event, it was 10 minutes practice, like 10 minutes qualifying, I think, and then like a 8 lap race and another 8 lap race, okay? And then yeah, so that leads me to believe, like, how do you know what your do you get two trophies if you win race one and race two? I don't know, man. See, so I've like I said, I've never raced with these guys, and it's kind of weird the way they do things. All right, I've never seen anybody do racing like this. Okay, at least for supermotos. Okay, I'm used to more doing supermoto stuff. Right, supermoto and flat track they're almost like the same. Okay. Okay, so anyway, so this is how it went. I took the Light Bee out for practice, all right, just so I could ride the Light Bee, and so I was trying to save the KLX, all right. I know the KLX was working hard out there, and it didn't. I could feel it did not like going out on that track. Fortunately, the day before, I said, hey, you know what? Let's go put I had two sprockets, all right. I had a 13 tooth sprocket that was already on the bike, and then a 14 tooth sprocket. So I was like, you know what? Let's put the 14 tooth sprocket because I'm hitting top speed going up I'm maxing out going up the hill. You know, it's hitting the rev limiter, and going down the hill, I'm hitting the rev limiter. If I can widen my gearing a little bit, I can pick up a couple more miles per hour, and I'll be faster, and I won't have to shift as much. All right, I could just kind of keep it in a lower gear, and then rev it out a little more, type of thing. And you know what, for the most part it worked. Okay, but yeah, I swapped it the day before. It was kind of a pain in the ass. I had to readjust the chain a whole lot. I don't know if I'm going to swap it back to the 13. I might just try it with the 14 tooth for now. I had used the 14 tooth before I put the bore up kit on this, so I think it would be beneficial to have the bigger sprocket now since we have more power, type of thing. But I don't know. I'll try it out. And also my tires were wearing out. All right. I know this tire needed to be replaced, but it still looks okay. It's still got some tread now, but it would be a good idea to replace it now. The edges are almost gone. All right. Pretty much where the majority of the cornering is, there's no more tread on it anymore. Almost. But hey, it hung in there, and it hung in there pretty good. All right. Is what I want to say. And then so we used our tire warmers today also, all right, on the day of the race. So yeah, so what happened is we took the Light Bee out for practice, and it hung out for the whole practice, the 10 minutes. It ran balls to the walls. All right. I forgot what battery pack we used. I think we used the big battery pack, and I think we lowered the power to 180 line current, and but I moved the face current up to 650. Okay, so yeah, anyway, that was the practice. All right, Light Bee ran great out there. I think a lot of people were kind of amazed how fast it was. All right, that were the people that were on the track, and it handled awesome. All right, I didn't even have the tire warmers on it. It was cold when we took it out there, so I took it easy for the first lap. Okay, and then so qualifying rolls around, and oh, okay, so yeah, here's another thing so I don't have any race footage, guys. They didn't let me use my freaking camera. Okay, so that's another reason I kind of don't want to do any races or events with these guys anymore. They don't let you use a helmet camera. All right, there's been nobody has ever had me take my camera off. All right, nobody. Yeah. The only other time that somebody's ever made me take my helmet camera off is like when I did a demo day. They didn't want me to use my camera while I was demoing their bike. It was kind of stupid, man. I was like, man, what the hell? But I understand it's their track event. It's their rules. So okay, I said but so I rolled up to the practice in the Light Bee, and then I had the camera on there, and hey, you can't have anything hanging off your helmet. I was like, what? I was like, you guys didn't say anything about it the day before during the track day. I've been using the camera the whole time. So he's like, okay, well, you know what? For practice, it's okay, but for racing, you can't have it on there. I was like, really? And then when I'm racing with all the other guys, I noticed hey, there's cameras literally all over people's bikes. They got 360 cameras on their bike and yada da da. These guys have chest cameras. So I think that's the way. That's what Hayes and Mega has to do when I go to an event that I've never been to. I gotta remember to take my chest camera, right? So I do have a chest camera with a GoPro on it. I never freaking use it, all right? I don't use a GoPro. Okay, but at least if I had the GoPro, I could have used it, and I could have got some race footage, is what I'm gonna say. All right. Yeah. So yeah, they didn't let me take video of the races. So sorry, you guys will just have to listen to me tell you the story of my race. Okay. Okay, so qualifying rolls around, and then boom, we go out, and then we're out in the KLX, and we go out and qualify. I think I'm putting down times in the 120s. All right. And then the really fast guys are doing like 110s. All right. The faster bikes are doing 110s. So Hazemeg is pretty slow, man. Usually they'll lap me on like the 6th or 7th lap. They'll come by and lap me. Okay. So anyway, we come back in for qualifying, and then I'm trying to find out the grids. That for the most part, the schedule for the races, it went by pretty much like how they said it, all right, until the racing actually started, all right. And so everybody's trying to figure out, where's my grid? Where's my grid? They didn't post any grid results. Usually you're supposed to print out a grid, and then it'll have your number or your name, and it'll tell you where to grid up. And yeah, so it was a little different. So you have to go up to the starting grid, or you go up to the grid, all right, pre-grid, and then they tell you where you're gridding, all right. And then so I don't know what happened, but they didn't have my grid set up. I was like, what the heck, man? I went out for the qualifying. They said you just go out to the qualifying and they'll stick you in the race. I'm like, oh, what the freak, man? Yeah, everything was all messed up, man. They didn't know what was going on, dude. So I wasn't on there, and so they're just saying like, oh, you know what, your name's not on here, just grid in the back. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. So what was the point of me qualifying, all right? Well, I might as well just not have went out and qualified, because it did nothing, all right? What was the point, right? That's what qualifying is for, so you get a time so they can grid you, right? And then so their grids were like, they had like a picture of the grid, and then they tell you, okay, you're gonna grid right here. You know, I've never seen that before. In Supermoto USA, they grid you. They write down. You know, there's a grid marker on they chalk it, all right, and then they put the number on it, and then you look at the grid, and like, oh, you're Valencia, you're gridded number 5, all right. So you're gonna go find a number 5 on the ground and line up to it, all right. So this is a little different, man. they show you the picture, and this is where you go, okay. Well, in this case, then I didn't have a freaking place to line up, and then so it's a 2-wave start, all right, guys. There's the 150 SS in the front and the 65 GP in the back. So we were racing together, but not, you know, we started at different times, all right. You can do that with the transponders, because like you'll see a big gap, all right. That's what I want to say. So I was supposed to be racing in the 150 SS, because that's what it says on my fender. I have the sticker for it right there, man. And then so yeah, they had me grid on the back of 150 SS, okay, and then the 65 GPs are behind me. They're getting ready to take off, all right. Okay, so race starts, boom, all right. 150s, we roll out, all right. Hades Omega, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, Hades Omega got freaking blown away in the beginning. Okay, those 150s were just, yeah, especially if you're gonna start in the back, yeah, man, there's no way you're gonna keep up with the 150s, all right. And so yeah, everyone just freaking dusts me. There's this one 150R. It had, I remember it. It was red and white, and it had this cool looking pipe. It was like a flat tracker kind of pipe. Yeah, it was a cool looking pipe, is all I'm gonna say on it. And it was loud too, I think. And I was stuck with him, and it was me and him in the back, and then the rest of the 150Rs were way the fuck at the front. Okay. Yeah, they were just blowing us away. There is no way this bike will keep up with the 150R. I know, okay. I should be racing against other air-cooled 4-strokes type of thing, okay? But they didn't really have any, all right? There was a TTR 125, by the way, and that thing was... in fact, that was the slowest bike that was the slowest bike at the races. So I feel that guy's pain, man. I really didn't have anybody to race with, man. I know the 65s could be faster than this, and the 150R, I could probably keep up with the 150R, you know, if the rider's not very good. But yeah, man, the power advantage, and you needed power on this track, I'm not gonna lie. But anyway, it's me and this guy, the 150R, the red 150R, battling it out, all right? And I knew this guy had more power, so on the straights, he would just go whap, and then he would just disappear a little bit, you know. I was like, but he was slow on the turns. I know exactly which turns he was slow on. I would get close to him. I get really close to him, and then he would just pull away in the straights. When we get to the straight, he'd just pull away a little bit. I was like, it was so frustrating, man. But I think by yeah, I think by the 6th lap, I passed him. I was able to pass him, right? Because I was on his tail, man, the whole time, on his tail, just waiting to make a move. And I knew at the bus stop is where he's the slowest. I watched his line a couple times going through the bus stop, and he goes hella slow through the bus stop. He's like holding me up through there, and I'm able to get like right on his wheel almost at the bus stop. So I said, okay, this is where we're gonna attack him. Okay, and then so. On the 6th lap, I managed to get around them. All right. I think what happened? Oh, you know what? I think what happened was yeah. So we both go into the bus stop, and I guess he slows down enough where like I was able to cut him off in the inside, and then I passed him, and he was behind me, and I was like, oh shit, he's behind us. I hope he can't. I hope he doesn't just brap us and then just pass us again. And he wasn't able to pass us. And then so I go around the corner, and then we go down the steep hill, and then I start gaining distance on him. All right, so there you go. No, I was actually faster than the 150R on my KLX170. Good job, Eddie. Okay, and yeah, he never passed me the rest of the race. And so the race ended at 7 laps. It's so embarrassing, man. The 65s that were behind us, they passed me as well. They passed me, and I believe we got lapped by the 150Rs. So the rest of the pack of the 150Rs, yeah, we got destroyed by them. And so, yeah, I wound up doing 7 laps instead of 8 laps. We got lapped, all right. And I think that Anthony Lupo wound up being, like, first, too. Like, yeah, that little kid that's, like, super duper fast, yeah. Okay, that was the #1 guy. So okay, yeah. So that's the end of the race, and then I go look at Speed Hive, and I look at the times for the race and everything, and see what our positions are. And it turns out I was racing the 65 GP class. They put me in the 65 GP class like magically. I was like, what the heck, man? I wasn't racing against those guys. So what had happened was I think I wound up being 5th in the 65 GP class, and then. And so I had got a head start in front of everybody, all right, because I didn't line up with the 65 GP guys. I lined up with the 150 guys. So I got like a 10-second head start on those guys. And so the embarrassing thing is, guys, the 65 GP guys passed us, all right? So they made up that like 10 seconds or whatever, the second wave was. Yeah, man, they made it up and they passed us. I was like, oh, how embarrassing, man. So yeah, I think they passed us a couple laps into the race type of thing. So I told them, hey, you know what? You guys put me with the 65 GP guys, and then the guy that runs the event, the two-wheel track day guy, and then I was like, well, so you guys put me with the 65 GP guys, but I started with the 150s, and I told him everything that happened, and he's like, well, and I told him like, should I just race the 65 guys? And I was like, he's like, you know what? Yeah, you probably should race the 65 guys because the 150s are hella fast. I was like, yeah, I do that, So yeah, for the second race, all right, race number 2, we're gonna grid up with the 65 GP guys. And this time they had my number. They had my number. They told me where to grid. Okay, you're gonna grid on the 4th row on the left. All right. So I was like, okay. So once we do our warm-up lap, 4th row on the left. All right. And yeah, I just took off the tire. We were running tire warmers and the whole deal. No, I don't think any of those 65 GP guys were running tire warmers, man. Did you need it? Probably not, but you know what? At the beginning of the race, it would give you a little bit of advantage, is what I'll say, because you could push your bike right away, type of thing. Anyway, yeah. So okay, we're with the 65 GP guys, and then boom! All right, green flag goes up, and then we go. Oh yeah, we're the second wave also. All right, the 150s go. All right, then we wait, and then the flag comes up. No, okay, here's another thing. I couldn't even see the fucking flag where in the position I was in, man. I couldn't see the flag in the position I was in. The flagger was like hiding behind the guy that was in front of me, and so I had to go like this. I had to look around the guy that's right next to me so I could see the flagger. I was like, oh, this is shitty, man. What the heck? So they should have the flagger on like a box or something or somewhere high so you can see the guy that, so you know when to go, I was like, but I had to go, I had to do this number, waiting for the flag to go, and boom, okay, we go. Everybody takes off. I think I was able to keep up with the 65s, all right? Yeah, I think I actually pulled out in front of them too, because I have more power. And then they just took off. All right. Once we got up the hill, they started pulling on me, and then I was able to actually keep up with them. I think there was like, yeah, I think there was like 4 or 5 of them in front of me. All right. I knew those guys too. I've ridden with them before, and yeah, so they pulled up and ahead of me, and then they just kept on gapping me. They kept on gapping me and gapping me and gapping. Every lap, the gap would get farther, right? And so by the 3rd lap, they're already like, I can't, like they're already past the next corner. And so I was like, oh, that's it. And then yeah, so I'm just out there riding as hard as I can by myself, and I didn't know there's another guy behind me, all right? So I think there was something wrong with that guy's bike or something, or I don't know, maybe he wasn't very fast or I don't know, whatever, but one of the 65s was behind me like the whole time. I was like, oh, okay, I didn't come in last. Yay! So Hayes Megan didn't come in last, all right? So that's my consolation prize for today, all right? I didn't come in last, all right? The 65 class, all right? There was a guy behind me. I think there was that guy on the TTR 125. I'm pretty sure we passed that guy. Okay, that thing was like I know how fast the TTR 125 is. I don't know what's been done to that bike, but it's not as fast as this bike, man. I'll tell you that. Like a TTR 125 is about as fast as a stock Soron. Oh, a stock Soron, all right? A stock Soron can keep up with a TTR 125. A modified Soron will blow the doors off a TTR 125. Okay, so I could have destroyed that bike with the Soron type of thing. Anyway, yeah, so that's how it went. All right, guys. Sorry I didn't get any video, but you're just gonna have to go through my narration. All right, I did have a fun battle with the 150R. Maybe we should have raced in that 150 class again. Just say, hey, yeah, put me in the 150 class. I'll race that guy with the red bike again, because that was pretty fun. All right, but that was yeah. So that's an example of like a bike that has more power and a bike with less power, and the only way you're going to pass them is if you out corner the guy. All right, you got to out corner the guy and keep him behind you, and then like every corner you got to lose him a little bit, or else he's gonna brap you and just freaking keep on gapping you, right? But yeah, we passed the 150R in race 1, all right, and we didn't come in last in the 2nd race, so I think that's pretty good. Like I said, man, a 65 cc bike or like a KX65 with the right rider is faster than this. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. 65 will out corner this. Yeah, so it's such a light bike is what I'm gonna say. And then the 150Rs, dude, just hands down, it's got more power. It's probably handles as good or better than the KLX one. Well, a KX. This has KX suspension on it, so yeah. I've ridden one, and yeah, it's got some power, it revs really high, alright, that's the thing. So, I don't know, there's no way this thing will keep up with a 150R with a good rider on it, and those riders were really good, I'm not gonna lie, man. So yeah, there's really nobody I could race with, man. Really, the class that I should be racing in is air-cooled 4-stroke, alright? There's an air-cooled 4-stroke class, or yeah, the 65 GP. Either 65 GP or air-cooled 4-stroke is what I should be racing in. Okay, because that class is for like a bike just like this, like a KLX140. I think it's up to 150 with like air-cooled. All right, air-cooled 4-stroke or like a 80s like 65 cc 4-stroke or 65 cc 2-stroke. All right, that type of thing. So yeah, but all it comes down to is your lap times, and so everybody's lap times were a little bit faster than mine. I don't know what excuse I can give. Yeah, these bikes, I'm not gonna lie, these bikes didn't like that big track. All right, it's not. It overheated the battery on that one, and this one just didn't like it. It doesn't rev enough, type of thing. Can't go fast enough. Yeah, it just doesn't have enough gear. And maybe if I was a better rider, I might be able to keep up with the 150Rs a little bit, or the 65s. Yeah, because the first couple laps of that 65 race, I kept up with them, you know, but they would just kind of pull away a little bit, it was you know, it was the opposite of the last race. On the corners they would pull away, and then I would kind of pull up. I would have the power to kind of gain on them a little bit, and then they would pull away on the corner again because they're so light. They don't slow down on the corners, but they're so light. They have a 65cc has to maintain speed throughout the corners, because if it doesn't, you'll fall out of the power band and just be slow as shit. So that's a bike that will punish you if you don't ride it, you know, like you're angry type of thing, right? This one is very forgiving because it has a lot of torque, all right? It's got a nice torque curve to it, so you can, you know, you don't have to be so critical with the gears and stuff, okay? Okay, I did get to ride a KX85 in daytime. My buddy Jeremy was selling a bike, a KX85 for somebody, and I thought, you know, I was thinking like, you know what, maybe I do want a KX85. KX85 is very similar to the KLX in size, is what I want to say. I think it's a little bit smaller than the KLX 140. Yeah, I think it's a little bit smaller. The swing arm is a little, but the suspension is the same. This is actually the same suspension from a KX85. All right, the suspension. So like, I know it has pretty good suspension. In fact, it had Öhlins rear shock too. So, and it was like only $3,000. I was like, hey, you know what? Let me ride it. Maybe I might want to buy it. And then I rode it, and it's like, oh, I don't know, man. This, you have to really rev the balls off of it. It has a really small power band. It just zings really fast, and you got to shift. But I have to say, it shifted like really, really good, man. It upshifts and downshifts so nicely, so smooth. This one I have trouble upshifting on it. I think I need to move the lever because I'm not using a dirt bike boot. All right, a dirt bike boot are thicker. All right, maybe I need to wear a cover over my foot or something. I don't know. Okay, yeah. So yeah, that's the end of the AAR. What could we do better? You know what? Honestly, I don't really want to race with these guys anymore. They're in SoCal too anyway, so like I can't really. It's not easy for me to come down there and race with them, type of thing. So, but the event is kind of expensive. The track day was $100, and the racing for me it was $75. But if you signed up with two-wheel track days, the race is like $130. Okay, and I can understand you get a lot of track time out of it. All right, you get a practice, a qualifying, a race, and another race. You get like four different race things. Where in like a Supermoto, you'll have like a practice, and then maybe you might have a qualifying. But I think you have a practice, you have a heat, and then you have a main race. All right, but I think they did it the way two-wheel track day does it. Okay, yeah. So they did things a lot different than I'm normally used to, type of thing. All right, all organizations do everything a little bit different. Is what I'm gonna say. All right, and this was kind of weird because we were mixed in with AMA Supermoto. But yeah, they're kind of expensive, is what I'm gonna say. But yeah, if there's a track day that I want to do, you know, I could do it with them. But yeah, they're like only in SoCal, so I don't think I would race with them again, type of thing, unless they did an event like at Streets of Willow or something. Okay, but yeah, but so the reason I did want to go to this ride at this event was just so I could ride Horse Thief Mile anyways, and I would say mission accomplished. I did it. All right, we rode it. I rode it on both of the bikes. Both of them did great. All right, unfortunately the Light Bee couldn't hang in there long enough to finish a race, so I decided, hey, let's not use this bike for this race. All right, we wound up using the KLX. I think that was the better. That's usually what happens, guys. If I can't race the Light Bee, then I just race the KLX. All right, and that's what I told them over there. Also, I'm kind of like bummed and pissed off about the helmet camera thing. All right, I know AMA does that. They don't allow helmet cameras, but no one has ever told me that you can't use a helmet camera. All right, for a race events. All right. I do know that, yeah, AMA doesn't allow it, but like I go to a lot of the AMA events and they don't care. Okay, a lot of people. Oh yeah, so another thing is, yeah, two-wheel track day, they're pretty strict, is what I'm gonna say. They'll look at your bike, they'll tech it, you know, they'll look at all the bolts and everything. They want you to tape your weights down. I've had like, you know, I've done like Supermoto USA races where like they'll like kind of look at the bike. Okay, you're good. Type of thing, like, you know, they won't really look at it. Sometimes, yeah, they look at it with the fine-tooth comb, but yeah, they went over the bike pretty well. All right, they said, yeah, I don't think I had to do anything. Oh yeah. I think Alex looked at my catch can and it was kind of leaking. I didn't put I didn't put a good enough O-ring where the bolt was, so it was thing. So I made a catch can out of a plastic bottle, so I could pass tech. All right, and it worked. It stayed there the whole day, the whole weekend, and it didn't melt or anything. So maybe I'll just stay with that. That little compressor thing, it doesn't hold enough fuel, is what I want to say. But anyway, I had fun. All right, and I wound up not spending too much money. I spent like 175 bucks, which it's kind of a lot, but that's how much you would spend at like a Supermoto USA race, anyways. You know, the track day was kind of expensive, but hey, we got to ride on the Horse Thief Mile. It's a pretty big track. All right, I don't get a very big much opportunity to ride a mini bike on like a bigger track. All right, Horse Thief Mile. It's not a good track for mini bikes. I'm not gonna lie, all right. But could you ride a mini bike on it? Yeah, you could ride a mini bike on it, but like it's kind of steep. Is the killer thing for the minis? Yeah, I would say you could barely ride a mini bike on it. All right, you might blow up. You're gonna be pushing your mini bike like pretty hard. Streets of Willow, the track down the hill. Now that's a better course for mini bikes. It's not as steep. Okay, it's still kind of steep, but it's not that steep. All right, the elevation's not that as steep, and they can make the course smaller. The Horse Thief Mile, there's no other configuration, guys. It's just one track. The only thing you could do is change the bus stop. That chicane, they can take that out, right, and just make you go straight. But we used that bus stop thing, so, and that's how I was able to pass that 150R. Okay. Yeah, I found some pretty good lines through there. Yeah, so I'm pretty happy with it. I did try to ride knee out. I've noticed that, like, yeah, my riding knee out, I'm not as good at it anymore. I haven't been practicing it. I've been doing more the flat tracker style, and I should probably still practice riding knee out. All right, but yeah, I feel more comfortable doing the leg out, you know, the flat tracker style now, especially after that flat track race. Yeah. It helps you a lot riding off-road, okay? Or like when you have to do like really tight turns and stuff, type of thing. That's what I'm going to say. But Hades Mega should maybe practice it still, type of thing. I'll get my knee down one day, type of thing, alright? Hades Mega's never had his knee down. I probably just got the wrong bike for it, type of thing. But, hey, we were leading the bike over all the way, all right? If you look at the wheel, it's worn all the way to the edge, to the very edge, guys. All right, so I'm leading the bike all the way. All right, so I'm getting every little bit of, you know, lean angle that I can get. Also, I'm rubbing foot peg. All right, the foot pegs are touching the ground sometimes. All right, on both of this bike, especially the Suron, man. The Suron, I can get some mad angle. The Suron is so light. I just throw it into the turns easily, you know. It's so much easier to get that thing around the corner than this bike. So that's just got to tell you those 65s, it's going to be a lot easier. It's probably going to be very similar to the Suron. Hades Mega, Hades not lying, I kind of want to buy a KX65. The problem, if I buy a KX65, I have to ride it like a road racer, knee out, all right, the dragging knee. You couldn't really ride it in the dirt. It's not a good bike to ride in the dirt, a KX65. Yes, it is a dirt bike, but it's a kid's dirt bike, okay? It's like a child's dirt bike, okay? Not a big kid's dirt bike, a little kid's dirt bike, okay? But they sure look like they're having a whole lot of fun riding them. Yeah. So I don't know, maybe Hades Meg is thinking of maybe getting a KX65 and trying out for a little while, but I don't think I'm going to get rid of the KLX type of thing. Yeah, we'll see. Hades Megas, yeah, I'm running out of spaces. Yeah, I don't have any more room to buy any more bikes is the problem, okay? But when I get done with some projects, we'll see what happens. All right, anyway, so that's the end of the AAR, okay? I hope you guys enjoyed my story about my my 150 SS race and my 65 GP race. And then, yeah, check out the track day after action review. I did that one at the track. I had a whole lot of fun doing the track day. It was, and all I have to say is it's very frustrating trying to find somebody to race with, all right? There's these guys that they got either faster bikes or they got more riding skill than you, and then there's just nobody to play with, all right? In my opinion, it takes at least 2 people to go racing, all right? So honestly, the only race I had this weekend was against that 150, that red 150R that I was trying to pass. All right, and I passed him at the end of the race, and I was like, hooray! I passed this sucker. Now you're gonna have to try to pass me, and he couldn't. So there you go. That's how it's done, and that's a big accomplishment to be able to pass a 150R with this machine. All right. This machine's pretty fast, but it's not as fast as a 150R. I've ridden one before, all right? And it just destroyed me all the time, all right? Yeah, the 150R, that's like a freaking cheater bike, man. This is what I'm gonna say. All right, put me on a 150R, maybe I could probably keep up with those guys. I don't know. So I don't know. Hades Mega's kind of looking for another bike to try, but I don't know yet. Maybe like a CRF 230, maybe. That's what I'm gonna say. Anyway, yeah. But anyway, cross ride horse thief mile off the bucket list is what that was one of the goals of this weekend. All right, and I accomplished it. I rode. Whoo! I must have rode more than 50 laps. Yeah, I think I did close to 30 or 40 laps on the track day, and then probably close to like 30 or 40 laps on the race day. So I almost did like 100 laps around that horse thief mile, and it was a whole lot of fun. All right, would I do it again? Yeah, I would do it again. Okay, but I kind of want a bigger bike. That track is better to have a bigger bike. Maybe like a 250. Yeah, I think like a 250 would be perfect on that track. Like a 250 or like a 450. But Hades Mega doesn't have any more money to buy another bike, you know, type of thing. Maybe if I could rent a bigger bike, you know, if somebody rented me a bike to race, that would be cool. I'm thinking of renting a CRF 230 for a race and then trying it out. That's what I might try. I think a CRF 230 might be what I want. Also, I can buy a kit for the KLX that will turn it into a 220, but I haven't seen a whole lot of information on it. I don't know how reliable it is. All right, it's a stroker kit with an even bigger bore on it. So, and a big head that flows a lot. So, I don't know. I haven't heard anybody use it. So, okay, so yeah, I had a lot of fun, and it was a long drive, man. It was like about 5-6 hours. I was like exhausted when I got there, and I was even more tired when I went home. Like I was like a zombie when I got home at like 3 a.m. type of thing. And I did want to stay and do stuff, but like I had to go home, okay, type of thing. I'll have another race this coming weekend. It's going to be the Hollister Hills Hare Scramble race. I think it's the Wild Wabbit. We'll be racing the the Light B with the KO motor and controller for the first time in the dirt. So we'll see how that works out. I think we're gonna have to detune the bike so we can finish the Hare Scramble. I might detune it to about 10 kilowatts so we can save some power. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting trying to use this new controller. But the good thing is this controller doesn't overheat or anything, man. This controller is awesome, right? This bike did pretty good during the weekend, is what I'm going to say. It hung in there. I can tell it didn't like all that revving and stuff. I took the airbox cover out so it could breathe a little more. I don't know if that helped or not, or made it worse, because it seemed like it was running rich. It didn't want to stay running, type of thing. Okay, maybe I should have taken it out with the airbox lid on to see how it was, and then taken it off. But I just took it off. I was like, well, it sounds like it's having trouble breathing. That's what happens when you're running really rich, right? But yeah, I thought it ran good. Had good power. I've got a leaky seal where the shifter is, so I'm gonna have to fix that. It's like I saw it kind of puking oil out there. I was like, oh boy, I think we gotta go fix that finally. So I'm gonna work on that. We'll do a little tune-up on this guy. I'll check the spark plugs out, and I will do an oil change on it. We ran it pretty hard, type of thing, and then I gotta change the rear tire on this too. I have a new rear tire for it, so I was supposed to change it before the race, but yeah, I did. I wanted to.